Okay.
Okay. First, can you hear me well now?
Still very low.
I don't know how to fix it, so I'll just speak loud, I guess.
No, it was the volume was on 17. It was my bad.
Oh. Technical difficulties.
Drive me nuts that they're not matching right now. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. I call to order the meeting of the Rutland Regional Planning Commission Board of Commissioners today, January 20th at 7 p.m. We are making adjustments to the sound as we speak, but hopefully all set. Okay, introductions. Shall we go around the room and can we start with Karen? Go around the room that way.
Karen Hill staff. Mary P. Scazza staff.
Jack Schneider, Brandon.
Sarah Pelkey Poltney.
Jim Marsh, Rosetown.
Brandon Gilman, Wells.
Bob Kerback, Ira.
Abby Broadish, Chittenden. Ann Reed, Pittsburgh.
Devin Neary, Executive Director.
Dick Horner, Proctor.
Drea Stoddard, Danby. Liz McKay, Castleton.
All right.
Good. And Darren, I think you can see the names of everybody online?
So we have Cheryl Murray from Benson, Jessica Metcalf, Mount Holly, Judy Gilmore, Timid, Larry Corsell, Mendon, never seen him online before, Laura Black, Shrewsbury, obviously, Linda Linton, Pollitt, Robert Gibbs, Hubbard Inn. You guys are throwing me off like crazy tonight. Will Austin from Killington.
Hello, everybody.
I don't think I've ever seen Laura, Larry, and Bob online at the same time.
Wow,
Hey,
it's a first.
I'm staying away. I have surgery coming up, and I'm staying away from your germs.
Oh, good call. That's really smart.
Good planning. Okay, next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any needs for changes to the agenda, or can I ask for a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Motion by,
Thank you. Is there a second?
okay.
Thank you, Frank. Not sure I'm getting everyone's names. All in favor to approve the agenda, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Agenda is approved. Moving on to approve the November 18th, 2025 minutes. Any need for changes? Hopefully you all had a chance to take a look at them. And any edits or changes or questions, or I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approval.
Thank you. Devin, are you getting who that is? I didn't see. Wasn't
Yep,
watching.
that was you. That was Ann. Yep.
Hi, Ann. Is there a second?
Second by Bob.
Thank you,
Correct.
Bob. All in favor to approve the minutes of November 18th, 2025, please signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Sounds unanimous. Thank you. The minutes of November 18th, 2025 are approved. Moving on to open to the public. I think everyone here are members, right? Commissioners. No
Correct.
members of the public. So we'll jump on to the financials. And these are from November of 2025. Last year, going way back.
I can provide that report.
Thank you, Mary Kay.
Okay, so November, we're 5 months into the fiscal year now. So the P&L reflects a net income of roughly $58,000, and I'll just highlight the revenues and expenses. On line 402, local income, that's high, and that's because all of the towns have paid their FY26 dues. They've been invoiced and paid, so thank you, everybody. Line 403.5, Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. This line will take a large jump. I think I reported this last month, but this line will take a large jump in December. We had a large project invoice for more than $260,000 get paid in December, so you'll see that next month. Line 404, Vermont Department of Public Safety is low, but you'll see this line increase in December as well because the final Mount Tabor scoping study was billed and the agreement was closed. This line is projected to end under budget. Line 404B, Vermont Department of Buildings and General Services. It's low, but you'll see this line ramp up based on the projected activity in coming months. Line 417, U.S. Department of Labor. This line you'll also see increase as there's more activity with our subgrantees. And line 420, Special Projects is low, but will increase once our new projects like DIBG and the bond bank have more activity. So looking at the expense side, line 523, and you've heard me say some of these highlights before, but I'll just reiterate them. Line 523, audit accounting is high. The FY25 audit was completed and paid in full. Line 535, marketing and sponsorship is high. And that's because we just paid our Front Porch Forum subscription, and that's almost $2,000. Line 550, rent and office improvements is high. There's already 6 months of rent. And again, we're 5 months into the fiscal year based on these financials. There's already 6 months of rent captured in the system. Additionally, previously reported the renovation to split Devon's office into 2 offices has been completed and paid for. But this expense will be capitalized and will move over to the balance sheet at the end of the fiscal year. So line 565, equipment purchase. This is another one you've heard me say. It's high. We entered into a lease with Dell to lease all brand new laptops for staff. Again, just the laptops weren't lasting their 5-year projection. So entering into this lease, we can better budget for this line and better manage it. So accounts receivable as of November 30th, accounts receivable total roughly $383,000. Of that amount, $18,000 is due to the operating account from the QUISP account. And as of January 12th, accounts receivable total roughly $264,500. And that's my November report.
Very good. Thank you. Are there questions for Mary Kay?
Should I keep you? I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. MK, I think we'll move on. Executive Director's Report. Devin, you're up.
All right, we got a laundry list of items for you all today. Most of these items were in the newsletter. If you're not signed up, please go to our website, do so. Those are a great way to know what's going on. So start with the not so good news, which is we are down 3 planners. So first off, senior planner Barbara Pulling, which led our natural resources clean water program, recently retired after more than 12 years. We thank her so much for all the great work she has done as a leader in that space, in not only the region, but the state, and helping us set up one of our most impactful programs, the Clean Water Service Provider. So hopefully you all, if you see Barbara out and about, will thank her as well. So that leaves a major hole, which we're currently hiring for. We've got a lot of applicants, which is extremely encouraging. You know, we've had struggles in the past filling positions here because of sort of how specialized the training and education can be. The more unexpected loss, equally impactful, was Logan Solomon, our town planning and zoning planner. Made the hard decision to move back to Burlington with his partner, got a job at the city of Colchester. You know, Logan did so much great work. He really did the work of 2 people at many times, so it will be tough to fill that gap. like he's left us in really solid footing. So we thank Barbara or Logan for that as well. The more recent announcement of a departure is Karima Edwards. Karima was not with us for too long, just over a year. And she's leaving the RRPC to be closer to her family in the South. Got a new remote job opportunity. Karima has been monumental in standing up an entirely new program, the workforce opportunities for rural communities. That's that $1.2 million we got from the Department of Labor to create a career pathways program for high school seniors and those entering the workforce. So that program will chug on as expected, but obviously she leaves a big hole there as well. So what is the message to you all? Please bear with us during this trying time. We are doing our very best to keep up with things, but there may be a delay. Obviously, the pain points are sort of felt in these three program areas. We're doing our best to fill the gaps, but we're very hopeful we can get these positions filled as soon as possible.
Who's covering for all these positions? I mean, you just staff is stepping up to kind of fill in
Yeah.
the big holes.
No, it is a team effort, but in the short term, I'm sort of filling the immediate gaps. But it is a team effort, you know, some folks in the planning program, MK's helping out a little bit with the QUIF stuff. So no, we're, yeah. Yes.
Okay. Any hopes of how soon you get people on board?
I have been interviewing people the last 2 weeks, including today. So I expect to make offers to at least one, maybe two positions before the end of the month. And the candidates that have expressed interest are willing to start immediately.
Good.
We just started advertising Karima's position today. So I expect that one will probably be sometime in February. So, hey, if you know anybody, let them know, send them our way, please. You know, we could use all the help we can get. So, some more fun news. We returned or resumed our town administrator and manager luncheons. That was on the 8th, that Thursday. We had a huge turnout. Ann was there, and we were the first group to hear from Lyle Jepson in his new position as Commissioner of Department of Economic Development, and Jessica, the new Executive Director of VEPC, Vermont Economic Progress Council, on this new CHIP program, which is Community and Housing Investment Program. This is basically mini TIFs, tax incremental finance districts. This will be a project-based TIF, so they're looking to invest $200 million over the next 10 years in housing, so $2 billion in housing, which, just like TIFs, the sort of philosophy or the strategy is that a municipality could make investments that could help lead to a development of housing or mixed use. And the increment and the increase in the tax revenue pays for that bond that supported the infrastructure for the development. So let's say Pulteney wants to create a new plan unit development village north of town. They don't have water, sewer, sidewalks. This bond could pay for that. And then the increment in the taxes over 10 years would pay back that bond. So the town doesn't have to pay anything, but helps subsidize this development. And it has to pass what's called a but-for test. The development wouldn't happen but for this public investment. So this is brand new. That being said, they're trying to go like gangbusters because they got to get $200 million out the door this year and every year for the next 10 years. So the message to everybody is, if you're interested in discussing this program, let's set up a time to talk with Jessica and Lyle. You can submit a sort of interest form. But what I think is missing for many of us that we can help with at the RPC is the planning that's going to be required to get shovel ready. If you're doing a wastewater treatment facility or water line extension, roads, bridges, anything like that, there's a significant amount of scoping and feasibility work that needs to happen with that. We can help you get grants to do that work so you're shovel ready when you apply, because it will be very competitive and happen very quickly. So ultimately, this is to spur housing development. And if folks are interested, we can always invite Lyle and or Jessica to this regional commission to talk to you all. But this is a huge opportunity to add housing to our region. We know several communities are going to be applying for this money. So
Does this have to happen like in a village center, or is it any part of a town?
technically it's any part of the town, but most likely it's going to occur in our areas with public utilities, right? But it doesn't have to. You know, there could be a village on septic outside of water and sewer, and it may be the town is doing some work to sort of help with that. It could also be brownfields. There's a bunch of different the pre-development work that this could pay for. The other sort of recurring, resuming endeavor is select board meetups. I had hoped to have one in January. That did not happen. So we will be holding one in late February, early March. So more to come on that. For those who are not aware, Marble Valley Regional Transit District is proposing or has proposed significant changes to the bus system in the region. There were a couple public hearings on that. There's a bunch of information online. Many towns in the region will be impacted if you have bus service. It's about a 20% reduction in service across the system. This is ultimately because federal funding has been decreased. At the same time, costs are rising, so they've got a pretty significant gap in funding to shore. If anyone's interested in learning more, I'm happy to talk about it offline. Regional project priority list. So you all probably hopefully remember that Lyle solicited projects at one of our board meetings earlier in the fall for this regional project priority list. This list is updated every 6 months by Cedar in partnership with the RRPC. These top 10 projects are those projects that are likely to advance to some sort of funding for Northern Borders Regional Commission or other economic development funding. I've heard a lot through this process this year that towns are not aware of this opportunity and not really aware of what the program is altogether. So we're going to work with Cedar next year to make sure we're doing more advertising, especially to public entities like towns. I think traditionally that wasn't as much of the focus, but as you can see in this project list, there are many towns, Fairhaven, Pulteney, Benson, Rutland, all have projects on here. So I think as you guys consider infrastructure investments and other economic and workforce development initiatives, let's talk about whether you should be considered for this list, because it does give you priority consideration for Northern Borders Regional Commission funding. That being said, there's a ton of really important grant opportunities right now. So please take a look at these. There's a fair amount of money out there, from really small dollar, like $5,000 from Vermont Community Fund, to small scale highway, which is very low as well, to millions through the Catalyst program. So take a look at that. Many of you participated in a technical working group for VERDA. Any of you remember that? You were sat in on a panel with some folks from UVM. Thank you for spending that time. Well, the report is out, and not surprisingly, almost every recommendation in the report has something for the Regional Planning Commission to do. So what this means, we don't know yet, because obviously without money, nothing can get done. So we'll see if there's an ask made to the legislature. But for everyone else who might be interested, this was a comprehensive evaluation of sort of rural technical assistance across the state. And this report sort of outlines where the deficiencies are, where the opportunities are, from communities as small as, West Haven and Ira, all the way up through to Burlington, right? So like, maybe not Burlington, but Fairhaven, Brandon, those size towns. So take a look at that. I will definitely keep you in the loop if things actually manifest from this report. But that is basically it. Any questions? That was a lot of stuff. I know I talked a lot at you there. Okay, great.
Okay. No further questions for Devin? Next on the agenda is regional plan update. Sarah? Chair,
The regional
Chair
committee,
Sarah.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's later down the road. Regional plan, then regional committees a little after.
Oh, sorry. Regional plan update. Devin, you're up.
Okay. All right, so this is gonna be the meat and potatoes of the meeting tonight. Hopefully all of you received our memo to the town regarding the change and update to the regional future land use map. Those were sent out before the holidays or right after the holidays. So maybe 3 weeks ago. That included folks from planning commissions, select boards, town managers, kind of every commissioner was included on those emails. So if you didn't get them, please let us know because they did go out. Where are we? So kind of a recap, right? The last time we all met and talked about the regional plan, we had submitted the plan to the Land Use Review Board. We were the first regional planning commission to do so in the state. We sort of had just added a disclaimer to all of our town meetings leading up that, hey, this map, the one on the left there, what we're proposing may change because of what we hear from the Land Use Review Board. And in fact, it did. So we received feedback from the Land Use Review Board on November 21st. We took several weeks to sort of compile all that information, meet with the Land Use Review Board, try to understand what they were saying. Obviously, as the first regional planning commission to go through this brand new process, it's been bumpy. The LRB will admit that themselves that, this has really been learn as you go. So some of the findings in our LRB response letter have already changed, right? 2 regional planning commissions have come after us and their letters look a little bit different from ours and from each other. So the process is evolving. That being said, we cannot assume that anything's going to change substantively. That letter from the Land Use Review Board made it pretty clear. There are certain things that have to change in the map, in our plan, and then there's certain things that don't, right? So they gave us a list. Here are the things you need to change in your plan to come up to snuff and meet statute. And then here are the things about your map that we don't believe, based on our interpretation, meets the statute. So as a result, we took the time to take that feedback and mock up a new draft. I want to be clear, this is a draft, right? Like, this is not set in stone. That is the map on the right. And for folks online, I'm going to show you what we're talking about. And actually, more importantly, one of Nick Stark, our GIS manager, recently created a new tool. So instead of comparing two maps on 2 different screens, you can just take this and zoom in, and it will compare the 2 maps for you without having 2 screens. So let's take a look at what changed. And sorry, Pulte, I'm going to pick on you again because you're the easiest to visualize. So one of the substantial changes we're seeing in our Tier 1B eligible areas, which are downtowns, village centers, planned growth areas, and village areas, it's the pink and purple future land use areas. They said that, hey, RPC, you cannot map village areas surrounding a planned growth area. So what does that mean? Well, in Pulteney, it meant a lot. All this light pink on the left, we said, hey, this is a village area. It could be in the future. We believe it meets the statute. There's nothing saying explicitly that it can't exist here. However, the LURB made it really clear, we are not allowing that. So what we had to do is go back to the drawing board and recreate these districts based on that feedback. So we eliminated this big pink village area and we replaced it with a transition infill area, which sort of denotes that maybe there will be utilities and density in the future, but not right now. The other things you'll see is, wow, this sort of like green swath changed quite a bit here. Well, we also had to update our rural districts as well for a number of reasons. One, these little rural general circles, they said, no, that's not a good idea. We don't want to see just random circular buffers around buildings. We thought it was a great idea because it denoted all the residential and commercial structures in the region, no matter where they were in the rural categories. However, they wanted to see us do something called snapping to a parcel. That means one land use area per parcel, which actually you can see it's much more consolidated on the right versus the left. This is an important change that we're very happy about, because if you think about it, a consultant reached out to me and said, hey, Devin, I'm working on a project in X town, and right now it shows 3 different land use categories. If we go to develop, how will I know where we're eligible for exemptions and not? So it makes a lot of sense to say, hey, what is the defining character of this parcel as a whole? And let's select that parcel for one category. So there's a lot to go over here. We held 2 informational sessions last week on Wednesday and Thursday. It wasn't a great turnout. We only had 6 or 7 towns show up. Bob from IRA showed up on Thursday. Benson was here. Pittsford, Mendon, Rutland City, Chittenden was here. But we want to engage with more towns. This is a really important change. And I'd love to just poll this group to sort of, I understand that there's probably a tremendous amount of planning fatigue right now. We've been going at this for 2.5 years. We're close to the finish line, and to ask you to re-engage, maybe take another survey, do more work, review more maps, provide more commentary. I understand if folks are like, listen, I'm done. Like, I just want to move on. But at the same time, it's so important that we get this map right. Not that this map is set in stone forever, right? But it could be set in stone for the next 8 years. Highly unlikely. I think we'll be updating this map much more frequently. But I guess the question is, did you all receive this notification? Are you aware of where we are at in this process?
Never got it.
Okay. And are you feeling as though there's an interest to re-engage with the RPC and do more mapping on this? Brandon, here you didn't get it,
Nope.
which is concerning because we did add all commissioners to those emails. So hopefully it didn't get spammed or something. Any other folks, where are you at with this? Because we are sort of at a important milestone in the plan in which we're preparing for our first public hearing.
So the transition area is a whole new category. That's a whole new land use.
It's not a new one. It's part of the original 10, right? But we had only mapped a few places in the region that way
I see.
before. Whereas like if we go to Fairhaven, we've now added them north of town and south of town, or in Castleton even. This got changed, and I know this came up because I talked to Frank about it a little bit, because I know this is a hot topic in town right now with the proposed development. What we heard basically is that for the core 4, the downtowns, the village areas, planned growth areas, and the village areas, village centers, village areas, sorry, is that we had to follow parcel lines generally, and that we really needed to be able to pass a straight face test based on the legislation and say, hey, does this meet the criteria? So even though we lost all that village area, which I want to show you really quick, stop sharing. what that breakdown actually means in the region, based on the land use categories. And I'll just pull up a spreadsheet for you. This spreadsheet was the same one we used in your memos that outlined all the changes per town. I'm happy to, I will reshare all this information with you after this meeting. But here's the breakdown of the change across the region. Excuse me. Okay. So we talked a lot about this in previous meetings, how despite all the growth and density we have in the region in our historic downtowns and village centers, the tier 1 eligible areas only amounted to about 3% before, 3% of the entire region. We thought that was very modest, and we're hoping we didn't lose any but gained some. However, after the LRRP review, that's been reduced to 2% of the region. And the big change obviously comes from the village area. So village areas went from 0.8 down to 0.2. We tried our very best to add where we could. So in some planned growth areas, we added some land, which didn't make up for the deficit, but still tried to carve back a little bit more of this exemption. In terms of the rural categories, those also saw pretty big changes. The biggest reason this shift happened was that rural general buffer I talked about, that 300 feet little circle around every house. Well, when we eliminated that, it changed rural general drastically by 30%, right? So it reshuffled the whole deck with our rural categories. So now there's more rural conservation and less rural general. Now there's some concern I've heard so far from towns around the rural conservation piece. Before we dive into rural conservation and what this all means, because I think it's important to see this at scale, this effort really comes down to two things. RPC is mapping what is eligible for tier 1B. That is ultimately the mandate. So those are those pink purple areas, right? Those areas may be eligible for Act 250 exemptions. Every other category is status quo for Act 250, right? So whether you're in a blue, a yellow, a green, a purple, not a purple in terms of the dense areas, but a resource-based rec or enterprise area, that means you will go through Act 250 as you did before. So whether you're rural general or not, it's not impactful in this rural or in this Act 250 discussion. Does everyone understand that? You know, that's kind of been the same way all the way through. However, there's been a lot of concern from folks I've heard that if I'm mapped as rural conservation, I'm going to have my rights of my land restricted. The answer to that is unequivocally not the case. That currently there is no authority for anyone to do anything beyond what I just laid out. You're either potentially exempt or not. That being said, I want to make sure this map is right. So if you're saying, hey, my land is a farm and it's mapped as rural conservation, I want to see it rural ag and forestry, or I want to see it as rural general. We can probably change those mapping elements within reason, right? One thing we heard from the LRRP, which you can see on this right map compared to the left, is they want to see more clustered rural general. Like if it's rural general, it should be like not huge 200-acre parcels, but probably like a 5-acre parcel or a 10-acre parcel, something smaller that's a little bit more rural dense, if you will. And then rural general and rural conservation, or rural ag and forestry and rural conservation, really chop up the rest, right? On our map, our original map here on the left, we mapped every current use parcel, no matter what the actual use is or the land type. The map on the right did not follow that scheme. Instead, we did a couple things. One, we overlaid the Vermont Conservation Design, which is the planning goal for conservation in Rutland County. And that actually outlines a priority for 75% of the region to be conservation. When I say these things like priority for conservation, it doesn't mean your land is going to be conserved. This is entirely volunteer. So unless you want it to be conserved, it's not going to be conserved. The other thing we did with this new map is we took every single one of your future land use maps in your town plan and we overlaid it and tried to make it resemble more of what you all laid out as priorities in your own town plan. Obviously, our land use categories are not the same, right? Ours are defined in statute. You as a town can pick any land use category you want. So it's not a perfect crosswalk one-to-one.
What about with land as in land trust? That, so I mean.
If a land is in land trust, yeah. It could be, truly that would make sense to be rural conservation, right? However, it could potentially be fit into other categories because there's a lot of overlap between those rural categories. The important thing to know is beyond Act 250, our plan, the same plan you guys all reviewed and approved to send to the LRB, does not restrict development in any land use category, period, including rural conservation. We said, hey, any rural category you can build on, you just need to be sensitive to the land use context. So the quintessential just example is like, we don't want a Walmart in Chittenden, right? We just talked about Walmart, the old mall.
Right.
So I think it's important to know what this does and what it doesn't do. And there's a lot of fear over what it doesn't do, what it could do maybe in the future. Well, if that happens in the future, maybe we will change the map. There's no need to worry about that because we're operating now under the Act 181 framework as it is today. That being said, our next step, we had not planned to hold those informational sessions last week. We had not planned to go into further detail on the map between the LRB and our first public hearing. However, when we got this feedback and said, hey, these maps look a lot different, we need to notify the towns now ahead of the public hearing. That was what we're attempting to do now. But ultimately, what we want to do is use the first public hearing for what it's intended to do. Seek feedback from towns and the general public on the plan and the map, and then take that feedback, make any modifications we need to before we go to the second public hearing and adopt the plan in May. So right now, the timeline is use this time now for you all as towns to review the map, build a list of changes, come and meet with us. Let's have some discussions. Anne's a great example. She's been very proactive, in this effort. And part of that is a mandate from her select board, but she's been very active and she's going to present to us, hey, we're going to go through the map and we're going to list out all the changes we want to see. Can we make them all? Probably not, but can we make a lot of them? Probably, right? So that's the charge to all of you and your towns as well, is take a hard look at this. If you're unhappy with it or want to see changes, let's sit down and talk about those after the first public hearing. But the goal right now, as it has been laid out from the beginning in our schedule, is we'll warn the first public hearing in February and hold our first public hearing on March 17th. We'll have one hearing here at our board meeting on March 17th for the whole public. And then we'll have 4 supplemental meetings throughout the region, hopefully picking 4 corners, somewhere in Wallingford, Pulteney, Castleton, Hubbardton, Grandin, kind of mix it up so we can go where people are at. After we get through that public hearing process, that's when we'll compile that information and make any tweaks that we need to make. Obviously, we're not going to change anything in the map that contradicts what the LRB wants to see, or else we're going to submit a plan that's going to get rejected and none of the region will see the benefit, and we won't be able to comment on Act 250. We won't be able to approve your town plans. The impacts are significant, so let's not do that. Let's adopt this plan in May like we're intending to do. But in the interim, I cannot stress enough that this is still an opportunity. It says draft for a reason. This still is an opportunity to make changes that you want to see. But also it's a great opportunity for you to sort of refresh yourself with what is this map intended to do? What are the land use categories supposed to be? And how do I want to see my town visualize in this framework? That's a lot. So I'll pause there. There's got to be comments and questions.
I have a question.
Yeah,
This dual map thing,
I'm going to share it out.
I was gonna ask if I can use it for the select board meeting tomorrow night, because you're on the agenda and.
Yep.
It'll make it so much easier.
This will
for
be
me
so
to
much easier for
explain
everybody. We just developed this tool. So
it. And I
will.
very much appreciate it, because I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
I have a whole project ahead of me.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to go back and forth. So this does it perfectly because they're locked.
Yeah.
So no matter what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So yes, I will share this and everything back out with you after this meeting. What are the gut reactions? What are the feelings? Are we feeling good about moving on to the next stage and doing the work in the interim?
There's got a lot of comments about the map, rightfully so. Are we also getting comments on the narrative of the regional plan as a whole?
We got very little.
Okay.
We only were asked to add some more explanation on like some of our housing element, like adding more on our methodology for our target, like those sort of things. The only thing that was totally missing that we knew might have been a problem was the new environmental benefits and burdens law. So there's this new provision in regional plans that says regional planning commissions need to map environmental justice populations in a region and analyze the region, whether those populations experience disproportionate burden to things like health, recreation opportunities, healthcare opportunities, particulate matter, all those things. So that's something that was missing that we had to add in, and we have completed that. There's so far analysis shows that there's no disproportionate burden in any category, which is not a surprise, right? So in terms of the narrative, we're making like tweaks in terms of trying to make it more concise and more clear and adding some depth to some of the chapters, but ultimately the plan itself is not changing. I see Cheryl's got a hand up.
Hi guys.
Hey there.
I've been having some computer problems tonight. Sorry for coming in and out so much, Devin. So
Okay.
the question that I had, well, we had someone actually come into our last planning commission meeting. I don't know if Sean told you about it or not, but they were asking about this land use map. And one of the things I couldn't answer was what the legend meant. Like, what does rural conservation mean? What does, each of those colors? So you've outlined that a little bit better for me tonight, but my question is there any way that you could do you have a document that says that, or something you could put together to send to me so I could explain that to people when they ask questions?
Absolutely. So we've actually sent all that information to you in the past, and I'm happy to do it again. So when we met with you all last and did the first map, we developed the first draft of the map. All those land use categories have definitions that are written in Act 181 in statute, and we included those definitions in those outreach materials. I'm happy to reshare those, because what I'm realizing through this whole process, Cheryl, is like, it has been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And to expect you all who are doing 1,000,001 things, wearing a ton of hats, to remember that, hey, rural conservation is XXX. How do you not know this? Well, we work with it every day. You don't. So I'm not surprised that it's like, what are these categories again? What are they intended to do? So
Right, and
I
what,
will
and what
say,
are the, what does it mean to a person who's looking at that map and their land is on it? That's what and
Yeah.
I can probably look that up, Devin, if you just point me where to get it, that's fine.
yeah, so it is in the law in Act 181, but I'm also, that's a 200-page law. I would not expect you to read that all. I can give
Okay.
you the Cliff Notes version, which will be helpful. But I do think it's
Okay.
important for that person in Benson to know that you guys have decided not to opt in to Tier 1B. So that means for Benson, in terms of Act 250, it doesn't matter what land use category you're in.
Nothing's
all-
changed, right?
Nothing's changed
That's what I thought.
from this map. Yeah, nothing's changed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. And I'll send you some stuff.
I wasn't on it I've been on as long as everybody else has, obviously. I never seen any of that, so.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't even on the planning commission, so.
Yeah. And select board, you just got back on, right?
I'm not on it, no.
Oh, you're not on it anymore. Okay, so that could be why.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might have hit the gaps of like
Yeah.
where we were.
So
So,
I was on the select board and
right.
I didn't get reelected,
Okay.
but I may run again, so I don't know.
Sorry. Well, good luck to you. Well, anytime you want to get sort of a crash course or whatever you need, we are here to do that. So
I'll get in touch with you. 'Cause I'd
Just
like
let me
to
know.
do
Yeah.
something.
We also have
As if
developed-
you are busy enough, you know?
well, hey, we've developed most of these resources already, so I could just forward you stuff and that would be better than nothing.
Yep.
Hopefully you all also got a chance to watch that video Logan made before he left. There's no better general description of the changes across the region, not town specific, than that video. That's probably the best starting point
I didn't get that either.
to understand. Yeah, that's all embedded in these links
Okay.
that we sent.
All right.
Is that
Um,
what-
on your
is that all-
website?
is that on the website?
It is not currently on the website, so we're waiting to stage the website for the first public hearing.
Did you put the video on the website?
The video's on our YouTube page, which is linked to our website. How about I just send everybody all the things tonight? And make sure it'll be in one convenient location for you all.
I'll make a folder.
And hey, I appreciate you guys have been extremely supportive in trying to help us get this across the finish line. The timing's not ideal, the scale of this is not ideal. We don't have, ideally, in a perfect scenario, we would have been back out to every single town again. But we just don't have the time or the staff capacity to do another 27 select board meetings. I'd love to, but we can't do that right now.
I'm more than happy to present it to the select board.
Right.
But I have to understand what.
And Francis, thank you for me. I think that is the ideal scenario, is you all are the conduit and can relay some of this information. And I will help armor you in preparation for your select board, not armor, with any of the tools and resources you need. Yeah, maybe a little, maybe a flat gas station, maybe a little Kevlar in there. Yeah. So yeah. Anything else we want to talk about tonight? This is the star of the show tonight, so I'm happy to dive in on any specific town. We can also do that offline. Or if there are any lingering questions about these map changes.
I mean, of course, I'm more concerned with wells, but I haven't seen the map at
Sure.
all, so I can't.
Yeah, well, we can definitely dive more.
These maps that you'll include in what you're sending us?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, and these maps are all,
Are these available now online or anything?
Yep, they are, yep.
Okay.
The easiest place to, it doesn't have this map comparison tool, but I will add it. The easiest place right now to grab all this would be if you watch that YouTube video from Logan. I have linked everything below that YouTube video. How are we feeling? Hard room to read tonight, I'll be honest. Yeah, I'm hot as well. It's a lot, I get it.
So, question. Do you need someone that is not a staff member to reread your report to get feedback?
Which report?
The whole plan? now that you've done revisions?
I hope you'll all read it again when it's in final form. All 600 pages of it, but even if you selectively read it, that would be very helpful. Absolutely. Are you
I'm a glutton for punishment.
are you a freelance editor in the
Yeah.
side hustle? Okay.
I actually have an editing queen in my office. She's like
Oh
the
my God.
grammar queen.
Well, originally we had wanted to do a contract with a copyright editor to do a final review, and we just don't have time.
No, I have one woman in the office that we hand her something and we get it all back and like it's grammar queen
Yeah.
ready.
Yes. Well, I can tell you when we do send this, obviously, well, we won't, will we? When we do that first warning for the public hearing, you're gonna get a mountain of information. In statute, there's a very robust requirement for what what we need to send you for that announcement. So you're gonna have a lot of information to come through. But at that time, that'll be the first time you're getting soup to nuts, a full plan and layout. All the graphics, all the maps, all the links. And it's gonna look awesome and be way easier to read sort of than this iterative like Word docs we've been sending you up to this point. Obviously, the last draft you read pre-LURB had some layout, right? But this will be actually a full finalized plan for you to read. So hopefully it'll make that reading easier ultimately. But we'll see. So I think we can put this to bed. Unless anything else. No? Folks online, you feeling good? You're at least breathing? Okay. All right. I guess that's it.
All right. That's it. We'll move on to Executive Finance Committee report. Reading that right, that would be me. So the Executive Finance Committee met last week on Monday, the 12th. Pretty straightforward. All members were present, either online or in person. We went through the financial report that we just looked at here today. We had the executive director's report, same one we're hearing today for the most part, and we reviewed the regional plan update. And that was about it. We put together the agenda for our board meeting today. So that was that. And any questions or we can move on to next item is regional committee report. Now, Sarah, you're up.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, so the regional committee met earlier tonight and reviewed 4 Section 248 applications and had a little conversation about Act 250 applications. So the first Section 248 application was a 60-day advance notice submission of new singular wireless PCS LLC proposing to request a certificate of public good authorizing the installation of wireless telecommunications equipment at 269 Crestway Drive in Proctor, Vermont. The committee reviewed the application and decided to request further information relative to the containment of the on-site fuel source which is the storage of fuel for the emergency generator. So regional planning, Devin offered to write that letter. And I think I would be looking for a motion to approve that from the committee as a whole. Unless we typically do these all at once, don't we?
You can do them all at once.
Okay.
What was the address in Proctor?
The 269 Crestway Drive.
Actually, this road is in Rutland town, but the
Yeah.
landowner, the thing is in Proctor.
Oh, okay. I never heard of Crestway Drive
Yeah,
before.
no, it butts up against Newmont and Crestway. It's right behind Dixo, my father-in-law's house in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So that's the first one. We'll just group them all together. The second is the 45-day advance submission notice of the Airport RD1 Vermont Solar LLC for certificate of public good for a 4.975 megawatt solar array in Fairhaven, Vermont. We've been talking about this one for quite a while. So it is on the agenda for the regional committee, just as noticed that it has been submitted for 45 days. And the committee is not recommending any action at this point. The third is in Brandon. It's the petition of the Bell Atlantic Mobile Systems LLC requesting a certificate of public good, authorizing the installation of wireless telecom equipment at 856 Franklin Street in Brandon. So this was, if I'm remembering correctly, this was a modification of an existing telecom equipment. Is that right, Devin?
Yes.
Okay. So the committee has recommended a letter stating that the project has no significant regional impact and is in conformance with the regional plan for that project. And the same for the final project, which is in Killington. It is the petition of New Singular Wireless requesting a certificate of public good authorizing the installation of wireless telecom equipment at 4563 Killington Road. So the committee is asking the board for a motion to approve their recommendations for each of those projects. Anyone on the board, are there any questions, or does anyone on the board want to move to?
Well, I'll make a motion. Let's get discussion going.
I'll second that. Okay, thanks. All
All
in
in-
favor? Oh, sorry. That's
Thank you for motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please, can I have your vote to, I'm jumbling the words. Please raise your hand or say aye to approve the motion.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about that. Thank you all. Motion passes. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. And then the Act 250 update from the regional committee. Devin let us know that there are many applications coming down the line, verbatim, and some are big applications. Tonight we heard about a camp development that an application may be forthcoming on Lake Sunrise, which is Benson and Orwell. An incomplete application for the Killington Distillery in Killington, and the receival of the Act 250 permit for the Wallingford Subaru dealership. So no action was taken. It was just a review of those Act 250 applications. And then we also spent a little time talking about the traffic impact and economic fiscal impact report relative to the Walmart project in Rutland town. And so those reports will be made available to the committee and will be on the agenda over multiple meetings because they're very deep reports.
One change that would be Clarendon and not Wallingford.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dealership.
Clarendon Subaru dealership.
Yeah.
Thank you. Clarendon Subaru dealership.
I think I said Wallingford, and it was wrong.
Oh, where in Wallingford? It is just north of Wallingford, right? Just outside of the.
It's south. Yeah, north, yes, north.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no
It
worries.
depends where you're sitting.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Everything's
so, yeah,
relative, right?
what I mean, so that's it. I think that is the report from the regional committee.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Sarah,
Sarah.
for mentioning.
Absolutely.
Interesting stuff happening. And sounds like a lot to come in the coming next month. Okay, next on the agenda is a commissioner roundtable. We don't have anything planned.
Oh, we do.
We do?
Yes, we have a volunteer. Poor Sarah's
Fantastic. We've
back
got a
on the
volunteer.
spotlight.
Tonight. Well, yeah, I do. I have a very unprepared presentation, but I'm just going to speak off the cuff a little bit about some of what is happening in Fulton. Devin asked for me to share with the committee and the board a little bit about the work that's been doing for economic development and planning in the community. So I'll keep it brief. I know we've had a lot to take in, but I think I want to focus on Pulte recently received a municipal planning grant. to create a capital improvement plan. So I'll just read you from the application if I can find it. Sorry, there's a lot of things going on in my brain this evening.
While Sarah's digging that out, I asked her to speak about this specific topic because I think there is opportunity for every town, no matter what size you are, to consider a CIP, maybe informally, less informally, but to know what your ongoing expenses are in this fiscal climate and to be able to budget and forecast for new dump trucks and any capital investments is huge. Rutland City recently did it, connected it more formally to their 1% option tax. It could be a way to really try to fortify in this era of scarcity for our municipal budgets. So
Yeah, thank you.
thank you for being willing to speak on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think before I talk about the upcoming project, which will be led by our planning commission, I would take us all back to 2022 when both Pulteney Town and Pulteney Village was asked by its voters on ballot measures to the municipal merger. So at that point, Pulteney formed a steering committee to undertake that work, to a merger committee, and then also applied for grants, was funded some partial funding through municipal planning for a merger study. And then we used another smaller grant from Vermont Community Foundation to support merger study. And essentially we spent, what year is it now? 2026. We spent a few years, finding funding, putting together the committee, and really putting together a scope of work for a merger impact feasibility study and connecting with other towns. Johnson it was another town that has studied this in the past, town and village. So we did that work. We solicited the help of expertise out of Rochester, New York. There's not a lot of consultants that are versed in merger studies, so it took a little while to find that group. And then we undertook the study process over about a year and a half, and it was very extensive. So it was interviews with every department, interviews with stakeholders in the community, the planning commission, the civic organizations and nonprofits, and then all of the employees of both the town and the village. And it included obviously a financial analysis, which was the budgets for a 5-year look back for each of the town and village. So it provided a really strong foundation for this municipal planning grant application and for the next stage of this planning project, which is a capital improvement plan. So just to read you a little that was in what that capital improvement plan will include. It will also create a detailed inventory of Pulteney's capital assets. So it will include buildings, roads, vehicles, equipment, and public facilities. And it will establish replacement schedules, life cycle cost estimates, and 5 and 10-year capital funding plan. There will be additional stakeholder outreach interviews, and the resulting plan will also identify roles and responsibilities for municipal asset management and address succession considerations as experienced personnel approach retirement. Some of the folks in Pulteney have been there for a little while. So the strategic framework will also accompany a technical plan and provide criteria for prioritizing investment, addressing future growth and housing needs, preparing for flood and climate resilience upgrades, and evaluating capital needs under both the current municipal structure and potentially a merged scenario. So in real life, this is something that also will help the community as they decide. Obviously, it will help your boards to not be reactive in their budget making, but it will help the community to understand where their tax dollars will go. Pulteney recently attempted to purchase a building to move its town office, which is very small. People are kind of sitting on top of each other, and it's the only space for meetings for the town and the village, and put a bond vote to the community to purchase a new building, which unfortunately was not successful. The bond vote did not pass, but biggest thing that we heard was where was the capital plan that informed this? So, you know, we kind of got to that point a little late that we are doing that capital planning and we do have plans developed for specific departments, but not comprehensive plans. So, you know, when you get to those points, when you need to figure out where to invest and how to invest, it is a very useful tool. So the planning commission will be leading the project over the course of 2 years and, yeah, we're looking forward to what we can do once we have that.
You don't have a consultant on board yet, right?
We don't. The consultant that we used for the merger study was really helpful in putting a scope together for this application. So they are, you know,
Get a bit done.
highly qualified. Yeah.
Also, that would be some great continuity
Yeah.
between the two. Yeah, because often it feels like two different consultants can clash on two different plans.
Their
sometimes.
approach. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the gist of that. Yeah, there's been a lot of planning in Fulton over the past few years, so we're looking to implement some of that and you know, having these plans to present to the community and share with the community are really useful and getting buy-in for specific projects.
You were to do a straw vote, what do you think would happen? Then vote for or again?
A straw vote for what?
Go about to combine the two.
Oh, a merger?
Yeah.
I don't want to say.
Just want to jinx it.
They
Oh my
come
God.
up with they came up with 3 scenarios. So it, you know, a lot of it in the village hinges on the water and wastewater infrastructure. And so how that would be, it either brought into if a fire district was established or if the infrastructure was owned then by the town was one of the scenarios. So, and then there was a no change scenario, I think was the third, but yeah, the merger committee, which includes members of the village trustees and the select board are really charged with, you know, what's next.
The last vote though was 88, is that right? Last merger
It
vote?
was, actually, they did study 30 years ago. Yeah, Fulton County Village studied merging approximately 30 years ago, and it did not happen, so.
Didn't Morrisville and Morristown just do that combined?
I don't know. Don't know.
There is another northern community, and I can't think of which one off the top of my head. I know that Johnstown and Village, Linden and Lindenville.
Oh, they combined?
No, they studied it.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you for sharing. Are there questions for Sarah? Hopefully, any of you planning commissions out there that are maybe between plan updates, looking for something to stay busy with, CIP, that could be a great charge for you. It's not. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everybody. I think we are ready to adjourn. Anything else on the table? Or let's have motion to adjourn.
Both of you adjourned.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Please say aye.
Fine.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye all. Good to see
See you next month.
Can't stay here.
That's an old song.